That's enough, come on!
Hey, Mutie. You have a problem? We'll see. Mutie's in here, they work for me. From now on, you're gonna do what you're told.
What if I decline this exciting opportunity?
Oh, believe me, you don't want to do that. You see, out there, you got powers. But in here, I got powers.
Well, then I bet you're pretty glad you met me in here. Let me guess, you get those, beauty marks from one of us? Right. Nice talk, ladies. Let's do it again sometime.
You're pretty tough. I heard you're knocked up. Let's see how tough that little mutie baby is.
Cool down. Let yourself some pole time.
No, I can't do this. No!
Welcome to Deep Divin, where we dive balls deep in everything pop culture. Today's episode is going to be for Polaris, aka Lorna Dane, from Fox's The Gifted. Polaris is a fictional superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics, most commonly in association with the X-Men, created by Arnold Drake and Jim Steranko. Lorna Dane met the original team of X-Men while still a student. When the villain Mesmero used his psych generator to summon mutants in North America with latent powers, Lorna found herself compelled to travel to San Francisco, where Mesmero was. There she encountered the X-Men Iceman, who broke her trance by causing her to slip on a patch of ice and then convinced her to come to his apartment. At the apartment, Lorna met the rest of the X-Men, who soon learned that she had latent mutant powers. Mesmero and his android Demi-Men captured her and took her to their desert headquarters, with the X-Men in pursuit. The psych generator awakened her mutant powers, and Mesmero named her Queen of the Mutants. When the X-Men attempted to rescue her, Magneto revealed himself as the leader of the group behind her abduction, and, more importantly, claimed to be Lorna's father. Despite the X-Men's assertions that Magneto is evil, Lorna could not bring herself to fight her own father. Iceman returned from meeting with her foster parents, who told him that her birth parents had died in a plane crash years ago. This information caused Lorna to turn against Magneto, but it was later revealed that she had caused the accident, and Magneto had her memories of it erased with the help of Mastermind. For a while, Iceman was attracted to her, but Lorna did not truly reciprocate his feelings. She instead fell in love with their teammate Havoc. Unbeknownst to Lorna, the Magneto who claimed to be her father is revealed to be an android. Shortly after, Lorna was captured by Sentinels, but was rescued by the X-Men. Lorna joined the X-Men and began living at Xavier's mansion. Lorna aided Havoc and the X-Men in repelling the alien Xenox's attempted invasion of Earth. Lorna Dane's first codename was Magnatrix, but she quickly decided that she did not like the name. However, that did not keep Havoc from continuing to use the name as a way to annoy and flirt with her. The two leave the X-Men to pursue the mutual interests in geophysics. They move to the Diablo mountain range in California. Lorna with Havoc is later seen battling the Hawk. When the old and new X-Men fought the mutant island on the mutant island Krakoa, Lorna displayed the full potential of her powers for the first time by disrupting the Earth's magnetic field. which sent Krakoa into deep space. Then joined Moira McTaggart at her facility for genetic research on Muir Island. Lorna received a new costume of sheer design when her mind came under the domination of sheer intelligence agent Divin Shikari, also known as Eric the Red. It was Eric the Red who gave Lorna the codename Polaris, which she has continued to use ever since. At the time, Shikari served Divin, the Emperor of the Sheer Galaxy. Shikari kidnapped Alex Summers and Lorna and subjected them to a powerful form of mind control. He turned them against the X-Men in an attempt to assassinate Professor Charles Xavier. A massive battle ensued at Kennedy International Airport, with the duo battling the X-Men. Polaris was defeated by Storm, but Shikari managed to escape with both her and Havoc. Xavier eventually freed both Polaris and Havoc from Shikari's control. Polaris and Havoc remained inactive as members of the X-Men, though they did return from time to time to assist the team. With the X-Men, they battled Proteus on Muir Island. For the most part, Lorna and Alex remained in civilian life for a number of years, settling in New Mexico and completing their college degrees. They were forced to reluctantly help the X-Men in Arcade's murder world. Their new life was interrupted when the Marauders ambushed them around the time of the Mutant Massacre. Polaris' mind was overtaken by the psionic being known as Malice. Under Malice's control, Lorna attacked the X-Men as leader of the Marauders. Shortly thereafter, the Malice entity found that it had become permanently bonded to Lorna's body. She led the Marauders against the X-Men during an Inferno. After Mr. Sinister was seemingly killed, Malice's hold over Lorna weakened. Temporarily regaining control of her own mind, Lorna was able to place a phone call to the X-Men in Australia for help, but they arrived too late. Lorna had been taken to be with her alleged half-sister Zaladane, a priestess for the Savage Land's Sun People. The X-Men arrived in time to witness Zaladane's getaway. Though Havoc managed to infiltrate her army in disguise while the X-Men followed in the Savage Land, the X-Men found that Zaladane had amassed an army of Savage Land natives who were being mentally controlled for her by Worm, one of the Savage Land mutates. Zaladane revealed finally that she is in fact Lorna's sister, and using the High Evolutionary's machinery, stripped Lorna of her magnetic powers, taking them as her own. In addition, the process managed to finally separate Lorna from Malice. Zaladane and her forces clashed with Kazir and the X-Men. During the encounter, Lorna's secondary mutation activated. She grew in height, became invulnerable, and gained superhuman strength. Zaladane's army was released from Worm's control, and Lorna finally regained her freedom. Having nowhere else to go, Lorna went to Moira McTaggart's research station on Muir Island. On her way there, her secondary mutation activated again, as evidenced by a sudden increase in height. At this time, she discovered that her new mutation also affects those around her, amplifying negative emotions such as anger and hate. Muir Island. Upon examination, Dr. McTaggart was at a loss to explain Lorna's new mutation, although she did confirm that the only way Zaladane could have taken her powers away was if she had been a biological sibling. Shortly after her arrival, Lorna joined the Muir Island X-Men team formed by Moira and former X-Men Banshee. This team defended Muir Island from the attacking Reavers, who were hunting for Wolverine. Prior to this time, it had not been clear that Polaris was actually drawing strength from being a nexus for negative emotional energies. Polaris' status as a nexus, however, was perceived by the villainous Shadow King. The Shadow King used Polaris as a gateway to allow him access to the physical world from the astral plane, causing a worldwide increase in anger, hatred, and violence in the process. Polaris was freed of his influence with the help of X-Factor and the X-Men during the Muir Island saga. Upon defeating of the Shadow King, Polaris' magnetic powers returned due to a combination of Zaladane's death a short time before and the neurodisruptive psionic blade of the X-Man Psylocke, leaving no trace of her increased size, strength, or emotion control powers. She was also a member of X-Factor. Polaris was then asked to join the newly formed X Factor by Valerie Cooper, and tired of hiding out on Moore Island, she accepted. Havoc and Polaris were set as its leaders, although joining X Factor offered Polaris the chance to reunite with Havoc. Their relationship remained largely unresolved. Polaris was able to come to terms with her experiences with mind control thanks to psychiatrist Dr. Leonard Sampson. Helping her to develop her confidence, Polaris developed a strong belief in Xavier's dream while a member of X Factor. Polaris became the government's secret weapon against a possible attack from Magneto, with the government hiring the mercenary Random to test her abilities. Malice later returned to bother her once more, but Havoc and Polaris, out of their love for each other, each tried to absorb her, preventing the other from being possessed. In the end, Malice perished at the hands of Mr. Sinister. Shortly thereafter, Havoc was kidnapped by agents of the Dark Beast, who forged a note explaining that Havoc needed to get away from Polaris. This devastated Polaris, causing her to feel abandoned and betrayed. X Factor's atmosphere changed as the criminals Mystique and Sabretooth were forced by the government to join the group. Polaris began to question her place on the team after this, especially as most of her original teammates were no longer active. She discovered Havoc's fate as he attacked X Factor with the Dark Beast agents apparently under mind control. After Havoc was defeated, Polaris tried to reach out to him, only to be attacked and severely injured when she felt she couldn't trust him. When Sabretooth betrayed and attacked the team, Polaris was severely injured. After recovering from her injuries and learning that Havoc's terrorist activities had been a front for his true undercover work, Polaris forgave him, although she rejected him romantically. She also agreed to join Havoc's new X Factor team. However, during their first team meeting, she could only watch as Havoc was seemingly killed in an explosion of a faulty time machine, constructed by the mutant from the future, Greystone. Although Havoc had left Polaris in charge of his team while trying to stop Greystone, she apparently did not feel like she could keep them together, and they disbanded shortly thereafter. Alright, so that was a brief history on Polaris. She can be seen weekly on Fox's new show, The Gifted. This has been another episode of Deep Divin'. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I know I took a long break between my last video and this video, but I had a lot going on. I actually just moved, so I'm going to try to make as much content as possible, and thank you guys for sticking with it and sticking with me, and have a great day.